Hey, I'm Alex Macklin from Board Game Co., and today I want to tell you the 10 best parts about being a content creator. I recently did a video of the top 10 worst parts about being a content creator, and I made it clear in that video, not a complaint. I love what I do. I'm incredibly grateful for the fact that I get to do what I love as a job. But there are still some things that are not great about it. There are still some things that are work or that take away. In some areas, it even takes away from some of the experience and joy I used to get out of board gaming. Things like that, everything is now work. That I often have to play the games I don't want to play, not don't want to play, but I'd rather play my favorite games, and instead I have a whole shelf full of review copies. And there's all these other things that get in the way of why content creation can be so much fun. But I also want to be clear that I love this. I love what I do. I wouldn't trade it for anything. If I was given a blank check on life, if I didn't need a cent, I would still do this. This is something that gives me a true passion, being able to be a part of a space that I love, being able to be present in a hobby that I've been heavily invested in since 2011 is when I got into the hobby. It's been 13 years now, going strong, and the fact that this is what I get to do as my job is a straight privilege. But to be more specific than just saying it's a straight privilege, let's go into 10 things, the 10 best parts about being a content creator. And to some extent, these are ordered in terms of how important, and the least important to most important, but, things can change at a given point, and I'm sure there's lots of things I'm forgetting, but here are the 10 best parts about being a content creator in the board game space. And the first one, to be frank, is getting a lot of games for free. Now, make no mistake, this is one of those things that's always a complicated conversation, especially when you talk about content creators and review copies and how content creators don't want to be negative because they might turn off the fountain of review copies. I want to be very clear about one thing, which is the amount of work that goes into reviewing a game to get your hands on that $30 game is not worth it. It's absolutely not worth it. Anyone who is trying to review games so that they can get free games really needs to prioritize what they're doing with their time, because you could probably sell an MLM and make more money than that. There's so many better ways of making money than getting a $30 game because you decided to play it multiple times, edit the video, film the video, doing all these things. There's so much work that goes into a video, it's not worth a free game. I want to be very, very clear about that. But also, I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you that there's something fun about having a box show up at your door on a regular basis. It's fun about the fact that you get these games coming your way, and I get games. Like even just now, 2 minutes ago, I had to go to the doorbell and open it because, well, did not open it. I had to go to the doorbell. I had to go to the front door because I got a package dropped off from FedEx for 10 days in the US. The op basically is reprinting that game. I really enjoyed the old one, so when they asked me if I want to review it, I was like, yeah, I'd love to review it. I love 10 days in the US. It's a great series, very accessible, very fun, and now I have a game show up at my door. That's fun, and make no mistake, it is fun to have things show up. It is not worth the time put into it, to be very clear, but it's still fun. I think part of the joy of crowdfunding is around that aspect, around backing something today and then having a package randomly show up a year and a half from now, or having a sequence of packages show up because you're backing 2 or 3 things a month, and that means 2 or 3 packages are coming to you every single month on average, which is fun. I think that is part of the fun of crowdfunding, and if you're a content creator, and if you are getting review copies from publishers, that means you have that little dopamine hit on a more regular basis. I don't need to go spend money on Amazon when I need to. What's the word? Retail therapy? Is that what it's called? Retail therapy, when you just buy stuff because you want to feel better. I don't need to do that because I have packages coming up that are board games, and it hasn't stopped being fun. I still love this hobby very much, and there's still always fun to open up a box and see a game and have it. Now it becomes homework later. Sometimes it becomes homework. Some games I'm excited to dive into. 10 Days in the USA, I'm going to play that tonight. It's an easy game. I know to play it. Other games I'm excited to get them, and then they go on the homework shelf where they are now work. But it's still fun to get the game. Number 9, being able to play games early. And again, sometimes it's work, sometimes it's not, but often it's fun. There are times when you're playing a prototype and you almost wish you weren't part of the content creator scene, because then you wouldn't have to play games that are good or mediocre or medium instead of great games. There are many times where getting early access is not a favor, but there's many other times where it's incredibly satisfying. There are so many publishers whose games I really enjoy. Spiritfire from Orange Nebula. I'm a huge fan of Orange Nebula. I remember way back in the day when they'd have Vindication or Unsettled. I wish I could have played those games early because I'm a fan of those games. I want to play the games. There are so many people. Every once in a while, I'll get an email from a random viewer who's like, "Can I buy that prototype off you?" And the short answer, by the way, is I don't sell prototypes because that's a no-no. You're not supposed to sell prototypes in any way, shape, or form unless the company that gave me the go-ahead. I would never do so. But that aside, the idea that someone's willing to pay for early access to a non-final game, I get that. There are many times where that's not something I care about. There are many times when something it is. I got to play Cyclades Legendary Edition. I got to play Spiritfire. I got to play Elder Scrolls. There's so many games that I'm passionate about, that I enjoy, that I wish I could try. Just recently, Unstoppable from John D. Clear. And I saw that announced, and I reached out to John and said, hey, I'd love to cover the game because I have that access and that ability to reach out, and now I have it, and it's set up on my table, and I started playing it last night. But it's the ability to play games early that I am excited about is absolutely a perk of being in the content creator space. And to be very clear, because part of the benefit of this channel is part of the reason, not benefit of the channel, part of the reason for this video is general awareness. I like having conversations around the board game space. Sometimes there's things that are very relevant to you, sometimes there's things that are tangential, and you can decide whether you want to watch them. But other times there are going to be people watching this video who are either aspiring content creators, already content creators. You don't need to be a huge channel to be able to play games early. That most publishers will end up sending review copies or preview copies to smaller creators all the time. If you have a channel with 1,000 subscribers, it is not the hardest to get your hands on a few lists, to get your name on a few lists. You might not be able to get on every list that you want, but you will be able to get your name on lists, even if you have a smaller channel. And so being able to play games early is absolutely a perk that I appreciate. Number eight is just the general idea of being able to play games at all and count it as work. One of the things that I kind of touched upon in the 10 things I don't like about being a content creator is the fact that so many things that I do kind of diminish the joy of gaming. There's still the joy of gaming, there's diminished joy of gaming. These games are a homework assignment. I have to play that. I have to turn everything into content. There's all these mind games that are there when you sit there and you take your hobby and you turn it into your job. But the flip side of that, the part that's very relevant, is any single game I play, being able to count it as work is a absolute treat. The idea that I have to sit there and play, and again, just pick a random game off the shelf, I have to play, what's a review copy I have? I have Federation. I want to play Federation, I shouldn't pick that one. I don't know, whatever game I'm less excited about. Whatever game it is, if it's a game that I'm less excited about, it's still a board game. I get to play a board game and call it work instead of coding or programming or managing Excel sheets or talking to a direct report and telling them what they did differently or wrong or who knows what. I've been in corporate America for a long time. I still work at GameFound. They still have those types of roles and assignments, and the ability to play a board game and to call it my job, to call it work, is such an absolute treat compared to things that are actually work. There are so many things in life that aren't satisfying. There are meetings you have to hop on. My first job was packaging pallets in a warehouse for like 3 years, or actually wasn't 3 years, like a year and a half before I switched to a different role in the company. But I've done a variety of jobs from manual labor to management to Excel sheets to programming. I've done a ton of different things. And any single day, I will take playing a bad board game is a different story. I'll take playing a mediocre board game any day over any of those things, and those things were often satisfying. But a mediocre board game is also satisfying. A 3 out of 5 is still a satisfying experience when you compare it to the options that are out there that are otherwise work. Being able to play games at all and count it my job is absolutely a huge perk of being a content creator. My ratio of my favorite games to my least favorite games has gone down. I used to play my favorite games a lot more, and my ratio of how often they get played is down. But I still get to play great games all the time because I've expanded my game playing from here to here. So even though my ratio has gone from here to, I can't do fingers, whatever it is, you get the idea. It's still an absolute privilege. Number 7, 10, 9, 8, 7. Conventions and travel. I get to go to conventions now, and travel, and in general, and I get to do it as part of the board game scene. And conventions are a hard one. I recently asked a question in my audience, and I think 55% of people said they don't go to conventions in general. 55% of my audience, which makes sense. And this is from hardcore gamers, mind you, not from the entire industry. From hardcore gamers who are watching this channel, who are answering questions on board game polls, 55% of you don't go to conventions. I never did before becoming a content creator. It's not that I didn't have an interest. I always had an interest, but it wasn't worth it to me. The cost of going to a convention weren't worth the benefit of going to a convention, especially when I'm someone who's not going to buy games there, at least not a lot, because games are often cheaper not in conventions. You're getting the hype, the buzz, you're getting access, but you're not getting good pricing. So you're going to be around board games. You're going to be surrounded by board games. That's what you're paying for. And now I get to do that, and it's basically a business expense. I get to go to these conventions, and I get to spend time in the board game scene. And one of the things I do say about conventions, something I didn't realize was a perk back then. Back in the days when I was deciding not to go, I didn't realize that going to a convention is something that starts off good, but it only gets better over time. You meet people, you see faces, they become friends. You start having these convention buddies that start becoming your regulars time and time again as you sit there and build relationships over a series of conventions. I remember the very first convention I went to, I remember a bunch of people were like, oh yeah, they're going out to eat instead of like at the convention hall. And I was like, why would you ever go out to eat instead of going to the convention hall? Why would you ever go hang out with people when you could be around the board games? And that's changed over time for me. I love board games, but I very much love people more, or board game people more. I love board game people more. It's something special about being able to share your time. Well, honestly, we're going to get throughout this list. So you'll see the top 4 or 5 are all about people, honestly. There's a lot of good things about board games, but board game people are the best. But convention and travel is something that I get to justify as a business expense. I get to justify as something that is helpful and beneficial for my business, and I get to do it and have fun and meet people and build connections and continuously strengthen those connections over every single convention. The amount of people I have in this space, both on the retailer side, from the audience side, from my Discord, from the community, there's so many friends and relationships I've made along the way, and I'm incredibly grateful for those, and we're going to touch upon them more throughout this top 10 list. Number 5 or 6, number 6, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Number 6, being able to meet people and companies that you're a fan of. And kind of tied in, again, we're going to have a lot of things around people here, but being able to meet people or companies that you're a fan of. The fact that I can work with Orange Nebula, that they'll talk to me and they'll show me their games and I have a relationship with them and I've loved their games. The fact that Simon is a company that talks to me and uses me for both review content, for sponsored content. The fact that Simon, I have a relationship with them and I can work with them and I can talk to them. I've been backing Simon campaigns for a long time. I've been a hardcore fan for a long time. And the fact that a company like that will talk to me is cool. It's a fanboy moment that hasn't gone away. I still don't get over it. Every time I talk to a new company that I've been a fan of, it's still something that I can't get over. I still think it's absolutely insane. I've had conversations with Tom Vassell. I've been watching Tom Vassell since 2011. I'll talk to him and have conversations around the board game space and around the content creator space and around companies and crowdfunding, and I'll have these conversations and it blows my mind. I'm a fan first and foremost. I tell people this all the time. Whenever someone's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait, can't wait to meet you or see a convention or whatnot," I always tell people, like, please remember, I am still blown away by the people who I get to meet and talk to. I am wowed by, like, I'm first and foremost, I am a fan of board games. First and foremost. That's what I've been for a very long time. I've been a fan of this hobby. I've been in this space. And for me to go to a convention, there's still people I'm intimidated to go up to. Unless I know that you're a welcoming personality. If you're someone who is like, I don't know, like, I still feel like, if you're a fan of board games, being able to meet people and companies you're a fan of, I still don't get over it. Every single time I get to talk to someone for the first time or talk to a company for the first time, someone whose games I've played. I remember recently, not this year, last year, PAX Unplugged, I got to meet the designer of Sentinels of the Multiverse, Chris. I'm blanking on his last name. What's his last name? Chris. His name's not on the box. Why is it not on the box? Chris. Oh my gosh. Where is it? Chris. Chris, where's your name? Why is it not on the box? I'm sorry. Anyways, yeah, Chris. But anyways, I got to meet the designer of Sentinels of the Multiverse at the last PAX Unplugged I went to. PAX East, not PAX Unplugged. And Sentinels of the Multiverse is one of the first games I ever bought in a flat pack. I got to meet him. I don't think he knew who I was, which is fine. He doesn't need to. But I sat down. I didn't know who he was. I sat down to demo Sentinels of the Multiverse Enhanced Edition. I thought he was just a Greater Than Games rep. And they started talking. I was like, "Oh, you're the designer." And I got to have a conversation around the fact that one of the first games I ever bought was the original flat pack Sentinels of the Multiverse, the tiny box, not the original edition. There's 3 editions of Sentinels of the Multiverse. I've been a fan of that game since the very, very beginning, and I got to sit down and meet him. And that's goes under the convention category, but sometimes it goes under the being able to meet people, companies you're a fan of, because the fact that I am someone in the space does mean that doors are open to being able to be a fanboy over someone or something or anyone. Designers, publishers, creators, content creators, there's so many people. Andrew Bosley, he's a delightful human being. If you ever have a chance to meet him, he's a delightful, delightful human being. And just the ability to sit down and talk and have a connection with these people who I'm a fan of their work. Whether, again, designer, artist, or content creator, publisher, it doesn't matter who they are. I still can't get over that. And it's something that I will easily, day in and day out, I will trade playing a mediocre game because it's now part of my job for the ability to actually connect with important people in a space that I'm a fan of. It's a huge, huge perk of what I do. In general, number 5, in general, it's an incredibly supportive industry. Again, if you go to conventions, if you meet people, you don't have to go to conventions for this, but in general, the industry in general, the board game industry, being a content creator, I'm sure this is true for being a designer, publisher, whoever, but it's an incredibly supportive industry. People are always happy to help each other. One of my best examples to date is the fact that you have 3 people who are direct competitors with each other because they make crowdfunding videos. The 3 people, it's Kagan Productions, oh my gosh, I'm going to blank on the names. Kagan Productions, oh my gosh, George, I'm blanking, Oniro Productions, Oniro whatever. There's Kagan Productions, Oniro, and then something Mesa Media. I don't remember the name. I don't remember the name of all the companies, but there's 3 people who they're all great friends. Whenever they're at convention together, they hang out, they talk, they exchange notes, and they are direct competitors. If you have someone who makes, let's say, I make videos, right? And so let's say Chris George, Room and Board makes videos. We're not direct competitors. Maybe sometimes somebody has to choose where a copy goes, but very often people can use both. If you make board games, if you're making like, Sons of the Multiverse, if you're Arcane Wonders, very often people are buying both. You are working with some degree of limited attention span, some degree of limited budget, but you don't have to be direct competitors. But nobody is hiring 2 videos for their crowdfunding page. No one is buying 2 videos, which means these people are direct competitors and all they do is hang out, share notes, and talk to each other. All they are is good friends. And that's true of the space in general. More often than not, people are supportive of each other. People are supportive of everyone in the industry. We all realize it's a small space, and we all realize that we want to help each other grow. One of the first videos on my channel that was really helpful in building connections, and it wasn't intended to do so, but it just happened to have that result. I did a video of top 10 content creators who I value, who I like watching, and there's a reason I still try to do those videos. I'm going to be doing another one of those videos soon, if not already, depending on which of these you watch first. But it's a supportive industry. People are happy to talk to each other, help each other, and all just, a rising tide raises all ships. It's beautiful to be able to be in a space, to work in a space where even people who are theoretically your competitors are often your friends at the same time. Number 4, having a community of people there for you. This is something that I don't say how often I'm grateful for, and it comes up, but it's easy to forget how grateful I am for the variety of communities I have that are there for me. And I say variety, I mean variety. There's the entire YouTube audience that's there. They're in the comments. They're commenting the videos. They're engaging. They're liking. They're watching. But more than that, sometimes you get someone who pops in and says something, who's a bit more harsh or a bit more critical, and you'll often have people jumping in, usually hopefully being polite, but to your defense. And it's insane that there's people who are willing to jump to my defense out there, which is something I'm grateful for. And that's the YouTube comment. That's the YouTube comment section in general, YouTube viewership. There's also the Patreons and Ko-Fi members, the people who are financially supporting me, who again, they value what I do enough that they're basically giving up money that they don't have to. They're choosing to give up money. The content's free either way. There's some content behind the paywall of Patreon and Ko-Fi. There's some gated content, but for the most part, you can watch 14 videos a week. You can watch way too much of me than you ever need to without paying me a cent. And there's people who are willing to pay and support. There's a guy who pops in every single video, pops into to our not every single video, but half the live streams we do. He'll jump in and he'll just basically give people YouTube memberships. He'll basically pay for gifted memberships to everyone, which is insanity. Just the fact that someone's willing to do that and appreciates the content enough. And then there's a Discord community, which is completely free. It's not behind any paywall at all. You don't have to be a Patreon or Ko-Fi member, but there's a Discord community as well of people who have all become friends as well. They're not just there for me, they're there for each other. It's beautiful, frankly, watching some of the relationships that have been built all under this weird guise of being around, being a part of a community. And they're really there for you. I have made genuine friends. There are genuine connections and friendships that I have made and continue to maintain. I've gone on vacations. I've gone to conventions. We've had people from our Patreon, come to us to conventions and stay in the same Airbnb, all of us together to hang out. It's genuinely insane to have a community of people that are there for you. I've had close personal conversations, behind the scenes conversations of life and details. And these aren't people who are my Discord community. They're just the people there. They're just people. And it's, again, a little insane to have that kind of support system in so many different avenues. And again, in the entire YouTube community, everyone watching this video right now, the people commenting there, the people who support you financially, the people who are part of your Discord, all being part of a connection. There are so many different communities at play, and I appreciate having that opportunity of a bunch of people who care enough about you to really be a part of your life because they like watching you do videos. It's strange sometimes, but it's flattering and nice too at the same time. Number 3, combining work and friendships. This is an interesting one, but it's also one that I love. And again, I said the last few are basically a bunch of people, and it very much is focused around people. But combining work and friendships. I've had friends at work before. My last job, I remember I was friends with almost everyone in my company. We had lots of people. We had an international team. I'd go to visit Argentina and hang out with all of them, and they were all great people. And I had good relationships, good times. They were all great. In any job I've had friends at the company, but they were all work friends. They were people who I valued to some extent, but they were all work relationships at the end of the day. They're relationships that didn't necessarily persevere past the work. And make no mistake, I like them. Some of them have found my YouTube channel here and there, and they might even watch this video for all I know. I've liked the people I've worked with. I won't name drop just because it's random to name X whatever, but I still like them. They're still good people, but they are relationships that ultimately throughout they worked around work. Board game work relationships are weird because you're bonding over a shared hobby. You're not bonding over the fact that you have to go ahead and build a website or that you have to go ahead and pack a box for somebody. You're bonding over a shared interest, and I think that changes everything. I love being able to collaborate, to work with others, whether they're employees, whether they're people who have worked with me, I've worked in the past, whether I do shared videos with them, whatever it is. I love the ability to collaborate, to meet others in the space, to talk to them, to bond over your shared interest in the hobby and also the work aspects of the hobby. Talking about thumbnails and which ones work and don't work. Talking about the challenges of, oh, the audience didn't know that it wants this from you or wants that from you, or different things that go on in the board game space. But we have this shared interest and shared bond over something we love that really builds these relationships all under the guise of me working. I love that. It's so much fun to be able to, again, and these all bundle into going to conventions and things like that, but I've built so many relationships with my peers in this space, and they're such good friendships. They're friendships I really value, and I would never want to leave the board game space because for a variety of reasons. First of all, I love board games, but I don't want to lose these relationships. These are some of the best friends I've had. I would say that I've had a lot of good friends over the years, and I still do. There are still friends I have that aren't board game people, but I would say my life has definitely shifted in the sense that I would say most of my relationships at this point are with board game people. And it's because of that shared interest, the shared work, the ability to bond. It is, there again, there's so many people I'm truly grateful for in this space, from the audience, from the people I get to interact with, from the friendships I've made. I don't think I can really properly express how grateful I am for the people who continue to give me their time, the people who I will see at the next convention, spend time with, talk to, and there's so many of them that I can't spend as much time with everyone as I want to. But it's still so gratifying to be able to spend that time where and when we can. I just love it. I love it. Number 2, having people tell you the impact you've made on their lives. And that might sound egotistical, but it's not meant to be, but it's something that still sticks with me time and time again, is the people I'll meet who tell me heartfelt things of when my videos helped them through a tough time, which is weird to me. Like, they're board game videos, they're not supposed to be helping you through a tough time, but sometimes they can be, apparently. And I get it to a degree. Like, I've been watching Philip DeFranco for years. Like, I don't know what it is, 10 years now straight. I've missed maybe a handful of his videos. It's just a regular part of my routine, a part of my routine that I appreciate. I've been watching Red and Link off and on for years as well. Just 5 minutes ago I had a video on it theirs, but I don't watch them as frequently, but they've still been a regular part of my life over the years. And I guess I get the idea of being part of someone's routine. But I've had people tell me about like how I impacted their lives, how they found the hobby through me, and they saw my videos, and they saw that one video, and that led them to the next, and then before you know it, they're, well, back in too many crowdfunding campaigns, probably. I remember the most meaningful thing I ever heard was somebody who said that they had their son in the hospital for treatments on a regular basis, and every day he just got to reliably wake up to a 10 o'clock a.m. EST every day. There was a video he could watch on the channel, and it just became part of his routine in the hospital, something he could rely on and just engage with, being a part of the hobby while kind of being removed from elements of the hobby. And like, it stuck with me. That was years ago I saw that, and it still sticks with me to this day. The idea that in some way I've had a meaningful impact on somebody else's life, that I've been important to them. And again, I remember one time, going back to to reverse that dynamic, I remember like one of the times I had a conversation with Tom Vasel. I was telling him how I used to watch videos, I would take baths and watch videos of Miami Dice and their recommendations when I was sucked into the hobby and looking for recommendations. And he was like, thank you. A little too much information, but thank you. And I was like, I get it. But like, the idea that he has been a part of my life for a long time as I fell in love with the hobby and then needed some degree of guidance around it, and Dice Tower was there with every single video you'd ever need, and a team of people who are, I mean, we've gone full circle at this point. What's it called? Sam's back on the Dice Tower right now. So like, but I used to watch Miami Dice. I loved Miami Dice, and I thought it was a great set of voices to talk about games and give you detailed reviews, and they were a part of my life. And it's so crazy to have someone tell you the way you are a part of their life. And like, I'll still get it. I'll get people coming to me at conventions on a regular basis who talk about the impact I've had on them, and it's both strange, but I also get it, and it really drives home the idea that there's something more meaningful. I don't want to like attach this. I don't want to like sit here and say like, oh, my job has so much meaning. I'm creating board game videos. I'm talking about board games. There's no question about that. But in some way, shape, or form, I might be a part of someone's entrance to the hobby. I might be a part of their routine. I might be an impact on their lives in some small way, and it's crazy to be able to hear that and process that. And the last one is something I mentioned at the very beginning of this video. It's just being a part of a space you love. I love board games. Like, make no mistake, I am passionate about this hobby. I've had many hobbies over the years, from juggling to Magic the Gathering to Magic Tricks to drawing to board games, video games, MMORPGs, to Warhammer at one point. I've done so many hobbies over the years, I've lost track. But the longest standing one by far is board games. And being able to be a part of a space you're passionate about is just, it's a privilege. It's not something I ever thought would really happen, but it's a little insane. I also work for GameFound. Again, many of you will know this already. I say it in the videos where it's more relevant, but otherwise you just maybe didn't know. But one of the reasons I took the job with GameFound was that same idea, that same spark of, I was like, I have passionately been a part of tabletop crowdfunding for the past 3 years. The idea that I could be an impact on forming the future of tabletop crowdfunding, it just felt insane. Like, I'm not one of those people who feels the need to like make a mark on the world or to leave a legacy behind me. I don't feel that instinctively, I guess. It's not something I value on the table. But there is something cool about if you love a space enough. I guess it's not legacy I'm looking for in and of itself so much as impact on a space that I appreciate. I couldn't care less what my legacy is in terms of, I don't know, my last job, programming or who knows what, or operations. Those things aren't meaningful to me. But being able to in some way be a part of a space that I love and not just a space that I'm there for, that does have meaning to me. And there's there's a library of videos now. There's 2,000 videos, close to 2,000 videos. We haven't hit 2,000 yet, but we're close to 2,000 videos on the channel at this point. There's always going to be videos put out again and again and again. I could stop doing board game videos tomorrow, and I'd still have an ongoing impact in a space that I value and appreciate as the residual views of some video here and there pop up. I still get comments on old videos all the time of like, just here's a comment on some video I put out 3 years ago. Someone be like, oh yeah, cool, I like the thoughts. And I'm like, that's a 3-year-old video. Why are they commenting now? Because they found the game now. They found the board game space yesterday for all I know. I don't know what their process or journey was, but you have an impact. I'll still watch old videos of other channels that I watch. There's still videos that will pop up. I'll be like, oh, I never saw this review. And like, it's just interesting, that permanent presence on a space you love. It's something very cool. I think a lot of people join this hobby in general, join content creation, not the hobby of board games, but I think a lot of hobbyists of content creation a lot of hobbyists of board gamers turn into content creator hobbyists because of that. Because they're just passionate about the space and they want an outlet for that passion, and that passion can drive them to a certain point, but you also need something else to carry on. And thanks to all of you, I've had that something else to carry on. I've been able to turn this into a passion, into a hobby within a hobby, something that is a job that is the best job I could possibly imagine. And it's all thanks to all of you who still tune in for every single video. Not everything about what I do is perfect. That's why there was a previous video of top 10 worst parts of being a content creator. There are hard days, there are hard moments, there's times when I'm trying to make everyone happy and I know I just won't be able to, and so I'm trying to pick and choose who am I trying to make happy today, who am I trying to be the best person for today. There's times where I get things wrong, there's times where I get criticized. There's so many negative things about being a content creator. But I think everything in life is going to have negativity attached to it. And there was a quote I saw once on, I think it was an America's Got Talent competitor, and her situation was much worse than getting mean comments on videos, to be very clear. She was diagnosed with cancer. And the judges commented on how she seemed so happy. And she said, and I don't remember the exact word for word quote, but she said something along the lines of, you can't keep waiting for everything to be good to decide to be happy. Or everything to be okay to decide to be happy. And it's a quote that really resonated with me. Because I do think that's true. I think everything in life is complicated. We're all going through things. Everyone you meet is going through something. And remember that as you go through your day, as you talk to somebody, as you say something mean to someone, as you snap at your coworker, as you snap at your kids, if you leave a comment on a video, whatever it is you're doing, remember that everyone is going through something. Be kind. Act with kindness. Everyone's going through something. But the reverse of that is true as well. Not everything will be perfect. People will be mean to you. You'll have hard things happen in life. You'll have diseases. You'll get fired. You'll lose friends and you'll lose loved ones. I'm saying, like, things will happen in life. You can't keep waiting for everything to be okay to decide to be happy. I love what I do. And I'm incredibly grateful for all of you for enabling this to be what I get to do with my life. So thank you for that. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. And I hope you have a good one.